Welcome back to the studio. I'm Michael. So we're finally starting to see the crypto market stabilize. Bitcoin's holding very strong above $20,000 per coin. We're seeing a number of top crypto exchange CEOs come out and say that they believe the market has bottomed and things are looking good. But while a lot of optimism is coming back into the market, there still are some things to be concerned about and we need to be aware of as crypto investors, because a few events have happened that could drive prices significantly lower, because institutions, some of them are in deep trouble right now. And these are the people with hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. So let's talk about the overall market first. When we're looking at Bitcoin and the overall market, like I said, a lot of good is happening. We're seeing that Bitcoin right now is at right around $20,000 to $21,000 per coin. We're seeing that Ethereum has also regained that $1,000 per coin number, which is also a very key psychological level for Ethereum. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum are holding above these very important psychological levels. We're looking at the overall crypto market. Same with that. We're seeing that the overall crypto market is sitting at a $924 billion market cap, up around 3 to 5% over the last 24 hours, depending on when you've looked. When we're looking at the crypto fear and greed index, much of the same. We're seeing more optimism coming back into the market after seeing record lows in terms of the crypto fear and greed index at 6 just the other day. We're back up to 11, and by no means is this extremely bullish. We're saying that everything's great, everything's looking amazing, but this is showing us that we're not at peak fear anymore. It looks like that max fear, that max pain in the market has started to subside, and people are getting back in, at least slightly starting to get back into the market. Finally, with just technicals looking at the market, we're seeing that Bitcoin also, its charts are showing us a couple of interesting things. First of which is that we're seeing that the weekly volume on the weekly chart for Bitcoin spiked, very similar to what it has done in previous bear markets. This could indicate that we have seen capitulation take place, meaning that the bottom is in. Back in 2020, during COVID crash, we saw massive amounts of sell-offs and a spike in volume. That was followed by a huge rally of over 100% for Bitcoin. Same thing happened in right around the end of the summer of 2021, when we saw that drop from 69,000 down to 28,000. Same thing happened there, and we're seeing the exact same thing happen now. So I would say that it looks like we've hit the bottom as long as Bitcoin on the weekly charts stays above the previous bull market's high. So we have seen it drop below and wick below, but we have not yet seen a close below the previous bull market's all-time high. So I think as long as we see each weekly close above that level, we're good to go. Looks like the bottom is in. Now let's talk about some things going on with China. So China, we usually see a lot of FUD come out of China whenever the market is starting to bottom out. We usually see that whenever China starts talking more about crypto, starts putting more restrictions in place, it's usually followed by a huge rally in the market. And what we're seeing right now is that China came out and warned investors in a bunch of recent news articles that the crypto market could go to zero after the recent crypto market crash. And in my opinion, this is just FUD and manipulation coming out of China and the Chinese government. A lot of times what we see is that China is saying one thing, but doing the complete opposite. They're either buying Bitcoin or doing whatever can benefit them. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. It's not that crypto is ever going to go to zero, because there's too many big money players in it already. We're seeing massive institutions involved. We're seeing regulations already starting to come about. It's not going to zero. So really, this is just to drive fear in the market, and keep that in mind whenever you see posts like this, whenever you see governments talk this way. Probably they're doing something completely the opposite of whatever they're saying right now. They're probably actually buying Bitcoin, getting more involved. Now let's talk about what is actually happening with Coinbase, because this is one of the big stories of the day. Coinbase recently came out and announced that they are shutting down Coinbase Pro. And many people I've seen commenting and talking about this on Twitter simply saying Coinbase is shutting down Coinbase Pro. And from that statement alone, it looks like Coinbase is in trouble. It would appear that Coinbase's stock has dropped in value, that they have been having layoffs, and that they need to shut down a portion of their business. But that's not the case at all. What's actually happening with Coinbase is they're consolidating their different platforms. They're consolidating Coinbase Pro and Coinbase into one platform. So they're saying all of the services, all of the features on Coinbase Pro are going to still be available. They're just going to make them available on Coinbase.com, on the regular Coinbase platform. So again, whenever you see posts like this, make sure you do your research, you look into them, because on the surface, this looks bad for Coinbase. It looks like they're in trouble, but in reality, they're just taking the features from Coinbase Pro and integrating them into the regular Coinbase platform. According to the company, they said that for customers holding funds on Coinbase Pro, you don't need to do anything. There's no actions that need to be taken, so don't worry about it. Really, they're just trying to integrate everything into one platform, give all of these advanced features to everyone using regular Coinbase. Next up is I want to talk about what has been going on with crypto exchanges continuing to be in a bit of trouble. What we're seeing is that crypto exchange and lending platforms are continuing to see massive amounts of either bailouts, they're needing to be bailed out, or they're simply having to freeze and pause withdrawals. And a new company has entered this. We have seen that the crypto exchange Coinflex has officially frozen all withdrawals due to counterparty uncertainty. And we're seeing that this is not the first company. Over the last week or two, we've seen, so now Coinflex, Babel Finance, Celsius, Finblocks, Voyager Digital. We're seeing so many companies in the crypto space are struggling. And so what I want to talk about in this video, and the reason why the title is what it is because things could potentially get worse in crypto because of this. Not because of overall sentiment in the market, but it's because there are right now dozens of crypto companies that are in deep trouble. They're in very deep trouble right now. FTX has bailed out BlockFi and multiple companies. We're seeing Three Arrows Capital in huge trouble as well. And because of this, all of these companies have, first of all, they employ a lot of people in the crypto space. They have large balance sheets, or at least they did before this happened. And these are companies where people put a lot of their money and a lot of their trust into. So because of this, when we're seeing companies, let's say like Coinflex, start to freeze withdrawals, that can actually deter people from being in the crypto space. Imagine if you had all your money on Coinflex or on Celsius or Finblocks or one of these platforms, and then all of a sudden you can't withdraw any of it. That's going to make people pretty scared. And as soon as you see these withdrawals get back online, they allow people to withdraw money, I'm expecting a lot of that money just to come right off of these platforms. So that is why things could go from where they are now and get even worse, really just because of what is happening with all of these crypto exchanges and lending platforms and things like that. Last couple things before I want to wrap up the video is going to be with what has happened with Binance CEO. So the Binance CEO, CZ, recently came out in an interview and said how he believes that the worst of the crypto crash is probably over. And many people are agreeing on this. The reason for this is, first of all, they could look at all the data on their crypto exchanges, looking at the orders coming in. But really what we're seeing is that CZ says he doesn't expect any more major price drops for crypto in the near future. He says that this doesn't mean we're going to go back up to 69,000, back up to record highs soon, but what it does mean is he thinks we're at least going to consolidate, see a lot of companies build and develop during the next couple of months. He predicts that Bitcoin could recover to all-time highs within the next, let's say, 6 months or couple of years, but he was very broad about his statement there. He did not make any sort of certain or specific predictions. He said, look, the market right now, he thinks it's bottomed out based on everything that has happened, but in terms of when it will recover, that is a little harder to predict, he says. He says, yes, it will recover, but it could be 6 months, could be a year, could be 2 years. So he said, ultimately, right now, that is what he thinks about the current market. And personally, I agree. I think that 17,500, we saw a lot of buying pressure come in at that point. And like we said earlier in the video, as long as we stay above the previous bull market's all-time high on the weekly charts, I think we're in a good place. And while there's no way to know when everything will recover, especially because of inflation and interest rates, I think we're in a good place right now to just continue to accumulate projects that we believe in long term. And last thing I want to talk about is something that is actually pretty interesting, things that we've talked about in previous videos, and that is from Bank of England. So the Bank of England deputy governor recently came out and said that he believes that the companies that survive this crypto crash and this crypto winter. These are the ones that have the potential to become the next Amazons and eBays of like the Web 3.0 world. And this is very much the case. This is why I always talk about up and coming projects that I'm interested in. I've talked about music platforms that could potentially replace, let's say, Spotify or add on to Spotify. I've talked about a number of companies in the gaming space. This is the reason why, because when we're seeing times like now, where everything is crashing, everything is consolidating, and we're seeing companies really buckle down, those are the companies that are going to come out on top in the long term. These are the companies that are going to be the multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar companies in the future. So that is why I'm always keeping an eye out for them and why I'm always sharing them with you guys. But anyways, that's what's been going on in the market. There's some good news, there's some bad news, but let me know your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'm glad that we are finally back in the studio.